Dahil sa pandemyang dulot ng COVID-19, nahaharap tayo sa matinding hamon sa edukasyon. Ngunit hindi ito hadlang para tayo ay tumigil sa pagkakatuto. Kaya naman, tayo ay gumagawa ng paraan gamit ang makabagong teknolohiya sa pagharap natin sa new normal. Tayo ay magkakaroon ng bagong classrooms at virtual class sa Sipnayan. Makakatulong ang video na ito upang lalo natin matutunan ang lessons dahil maaari natin ulit-ulitin ang discussion. Ako po si Sir Louie. Tara, aral tayo.
Solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Quadratic equation that cannot be easily solved by factoring can be solved by using completing the square method. In this method, a perfect square trinomial must be produced. A perfect square trinomial is a trinomial that can be expressed as the square of binomial. This method of changing an incomplete quadratic trinomial into a perfect square trinomial is called completing the square. Note that in an expression of the form x squared plus bx, add the constant term to complete the square. So follow these steps in completing the square. Given x squared plus 8x is equal to 0. Notice that we have a quadratic term that is x squared, a linear term which is 8x, and then equal to 0.
Step 1. Get the numerical coefficient of the linear term and divide it by 2. We have the linear term of 8x. Get the numerical coefficient of the linear term, which is 8. So 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. Step 2. Square the quotient. So step 2, we have to square the quotient. So our quotient is 4. We have to square 4. That means 4 squared is 16. Step 3, we have add the result on both sides of the equation. So we add 16 on the right hand side and on the left hand side of the equation. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0 plus 16. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 16 is equal to 16. We can notice that the left side of the equation becomes perfect square trinomial. Transform the perfect square trinomial into square of binomial. So that would be the quantity x plus 4 squared is equal to 16. Complete the square. Write each completed square in factor form. Number 1, x squared plus 14x plus blank. So follow the steps in completing the square. Step 1, get the numerical coefficient of x, which is 14, and then divide it by 2. That's step 1. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Step 2, square the quotient. So we have to square the quotient. 7 squared is equal to 49. And then proceed to step 3. Step 3, you add the result. So you will add 49. So notice that in number 1, we have a perfect square trinomial, which is x squared plus 14x plus 49. How do we transform this into square of binomial? So transforming this, we have the quantity x plus 7 squared. So this is now your perfect square trinomial transformed into square of binomial. Number 2, we have x squared minus 5x plus blank. So the same process as number 1, follow the steps in completing the square. Get the numerical coefficient of x, and then divide it by 2. This is not divisible, so we have to make it as is. Step 2, we have to square the quotient. So negative 5 squared is 25 over 2 squared is 4. So the result is 25 over 4. So in step 3, we add the result 25 over 4. X squared minus 5x plus 25 over 4 is a perfect square trinomial. Transforming this into square of binomial, we have the quantity x minus 5 over 2. Notice the square root of 25 is 5 and square root of 4 is 2. Then we have squared. So this is now your square of binomial. Number 3. In number 3, we have x squared minus 2 over 5x plus blank. The linear term is in fraction form. We have negative 2 over 5 divided by 2. The inverse operation of division is multiplication. So this will become negative 2 over 5 multiplied by the inverse of 2, which is 1/2. So this is cancel. We have negative 1 over 5. So we have negative 1 over 5 squared. Negative 1 squared is 1 and 5 squared is 25. So our answer here is 1 over 25. Step 3, we will add the result on our expression. So we have 1 over 25. So transform this perfect square trinomial into square of binomial. We have the quantity x minus the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 25 is 5. So this is 1 over 5 squared. So this is the method of completing the square. Number 1, if the coefficient of x squared is not 1, divide both sides of the equation by coefficient of x squared to make it 1. Number 2, be sure that the constant term is on the right-hand side of the equation. Number 3, complete the square. Letter A, find the half of the coefficient of x and square it. B, add the square to both sides of the equation. Number 4, factor the trinomial to a perfect square. Number 5, extract square root and solve for x, and then check each solution. Solve the following quadratic equation by completing the square. We have number 1, x squared minus 2x is equal to 24. Follow the steps in completing the square. We have get the numerical coefficient of x and then divide it by 2. So negative 2 divided by 2, that is negative 1. Step 2, we have to square negative 1 or square the quotient. Negative 1 squared is 1. We add the result on both sides of the equation. So we have x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 24 plus 1. Notice that this is a perfect square trinomial. We can transform that into square of binomial. We have the quantity x minus 1 squared is equal to 24 plus 1 is 25. Square root both sides. Cancel, cancel. So square root of 25 is positive negative 5. So x minus 1 is equal to positive negative 5. We have two equations here. One is x minus 1 is equal to 5. And then the other is x minus 1 is equal to negative 5. So transpose lang natin sa kabila si negative 1. X is equal to 5 plus 1. Since it is negative, transpose to other side is positive. So x is equal to 6. On the other solution, we have x is equal to negative 5 plus 1. So our x is equal to negative 4. So these are the roots of quadratic equation using completing the square in number 1. Number 2, we have y squared plus 4y is equal to 96. 4 divided by 2, that will give us 2, and then squared, we have 4. Adding 4 on both sides. We have y squared plus 4y plus 4 is equal to 96 plus 4. We add 4 on both sides. So y squared plus 4y plus 4 is a perfect square trinomial. Transforming the perfect square trinomial into square of binomial, we have the quantity y plus 2 squared is equal to 100. Square root on both sides, square root on both sides, square root and squared are cancelled, and then square root of 100 is positive negative 10. So we have y plus 2 is equal to positive or negative 10. So we have y plus 2 is equal to positive negative 10, y plus 2 is equal to 10, and the other equation is y plus 2 is equal to negative 10. So transpose 2 to the other side, it will become negative 2. Y is equal to 10 minus 2. We have y is equal to 8. On the other side, y is equal to negative 10 minus 2. We have y is equal to negative 12. Number 3, we have x squared plus 4x minus 45 is equal to 0. Be sure that the constant term is on the right side of the equation. So x squared plus 4x is equal to positive 45. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 45 plus 4. We add 4 on both sides by completing the square. So this is a perfect square trinomial. This would become square of binomial. Quantity x plus 2 squared is equal to 49. So square root on both sides. We have square root and square is cancelled, and then square root of 49 is positive negative 7. X plus 2 is equal to positive or negative 7. X plus 2 is equal to positive negative 7. We have two equations. X plus 2 is equal to 7, and x plus 2 is equal to negative 7. So transpose again, positive 2 to the other side, it will become negative 2. X is equal to 7 minus 2, x is equal to 5. That is the first root. Second root, we have x is equal to negative 7 minus 2. That will give us x is equal to negative 9. Number 4, a squared plus 3a minus 40 is equal to 0. Again, we have to make sure that the constant term is on the right side of the equation. Is equal to positive 40. Again, following the steps of completing the square, we have 3 divided by 2 is still 3 over 2. Squared the quotient, we have 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. So add 9 over 4 on both sides. So we have a squared plus 3a plus 9 over 4 is equal to 40 plus 9 over 4. So we add 9 over 4 on both sides. This is now a perfect square trinomial that can be written as the quantity a plus 3 over 2 squared is equal to 40 plus 9 over 4. We have 169 over 4. Square root on both sides, square root on both sides, cancel, cancel. The square root of 169 is 13, and the square root of 4 is 2. This is the positive and the negative 13 over 2. We have a plus 3 over 2 is equal to positive negative 13 over 2. We have two equations. One is a plus 3 over 2 is equal to 13 over 2. 3 over 2 to the other side, that will be negative 3 over 2. So a is equal to 13 over 2 minus 3 over 2. That will give us 10 over 2. 10 over 2 is equal to 5. So a is equal to 5. the other equation. A plus 3 over 2 is equal to negative 13 over 2. We have A is equal to negative 13 over 2 minus 3 over 2. So A is equal to negative 16 over 2. Negative 16 over 2 is considered as negative 8. So A is equal to negative 8.
Number 5, we have 4x squared minus 21x is equal to negative 5. In number 5, we can notice that the numerical coefficient of x squared is not 1. So we divide both sides of the equation by the numerical coefficient of x squared. In this case, we divide both sides by 4 to make 4x squared x squared. So divide by 4, and also we divide also the negative 5 by 4. So this would be cancelled, and then x squared minus 21 over 4x is equal to negative 5 over 4. So this is our new equation for number 5. We have x squared minus 21 over 4x equals negative 5 over 4. Then we proceed to completing the square. We get the numerical coefficient of the linear term and divide it by 2. So negative 21 over 4 divided by 2. Fraction divided by a whole number. So we have negative 21 over 4. The inverse operation of the division is multiplication, and the inverse of 2 is 1/2. Negative 21 over 4 multiplied by 1/2, we have negative 21 over 8. Then we squared the answer. Negative 21 squared is 441. 8 squared is 64. So 441 over 64. We add 441 over 64 on the both sides of the equation. X squared minus 21 over 4x plus 441 over 64 is equal to negative 5 over 4 plus 441 over 64. This is now perfect square trinomial. We transform it to square of binomial. So the quantity x minus 21 over 8 squared is equal to a fraction plus a fraction. So we have negative 5 over 4 plus 441 over 64 is 1444 over 256. By extracting square root, we square root both sides of the equation. We cancel squared and square root. Then we have x minus 21 over 8. Then we have square root of 1444 is positive negative 38 over the square root of 256 is 16. We have the lowest term of 38 over 16, 19 over 8. We have two equations here. One is x minus 21 over 8 is equal to positive 19 over 8, and the other one is x minus 21 over 8 is equal to negative 19 over 8. To get the first root, we have x is equal to, we transpose negative 21 to the other side, and we have 19 over 8 plus 21 over 8. So adding these two fractions, we have x is equal to 40 over 8, or simply we have 5. So x is equal to 5. That will be our first root. Our second root is x is equal to negative 19 over 8 plus 21 over 8. We add negative 19 plus 21. That would give us x is equal to 2 over 8. The lowest term of 2 over 8 is 1/4. So our second root is x is equal to 1/4. I hope you like our lesson for today. Thank you very much.